It's been 6 months since I've seen you horizontally. There's distance, but I feel you right in front of me. There's a ghost in my passenger seat, and it's staring at me like on and on and on. I waited on and on and on. Plot twist, what if we never kissed? Would all this bullshit even exist? I'm lovesick, you're heartless, hope you're having fun while I sit at a table for one. Plot twist, I wish that we never met and I quit. I play rent to live in my head. I'm lovesick, you're heartless, hope you're having fun while I sit at a table for one. 6 months since I've seen your heels over your head, wishing you would fall at all the heels instead, like blowing a kiss in a storm. Guessing my love is off course. On and on and on, I waited on and on and on. Plot twist, what if we never kissed? Would all this bullshit even exist? I'm lovesick, you're heartless, hope you're having fun while I sit at a table for one. Plot twist, I wish that we never met and I quit. I play rent to live in my head. I'm lovesick, you're heartless, hope you're having fun while I sit at a table for one. While I sit at a table for one. It's been 6 months and I dream about you constantly. Is this love or is that just something wrong with me? There's a ghost in my passenger seat, so why am I lonely? On and on and on, I wait. Why am I on and on and on? Why am I on and on? I wait on and on. Plot twist, what if we never kissed? Would all this bullshit even exist? I'm lovesick, you're heartless, hope you're having fun while I sit at a table for one. Plot twist, I wish that we never met and I quit. I play rent to live in my head. I'm lovesick, you're heartless, hope you're having fun while I sit at a table for one. I got a headache, cause you've been running through my mind all damn day. The stilettos, they echo around my brain, driving me insane. Your body could build my grave with leather and lace. You take all my breath away with that face. Cause she's drop dead gorgeous, I think she knows it, I think she knows it. That she's drop dead gorgeous, I think she knows it. But if she ever asked, I would just drop dead, just drop dead, just drop dead, just drop dead. I think she knows she's making John Doe's everywhere she goes, goes, goes. Elvira inspired from head to toe, Tony meant to go. Your body could build my grave with leather and lace. You take all my breath away, that face. Cause she's drop dead gorgeous, I think she knows it, I think she knows it. That she's drop dead gorgeous, I think she knows it. But if she ever left, I would just drop dead, just drop dead, just drop dead, just drop dead. she's got all the boys pulling daisies, but she'll leave you pushing them all. The boys pulling daisies, but she'll leave you pushing them. Your body could build my grave with leather and lace. You take all my breath away like fades. 'Cause she's drop dead gorgeous. I think she knows it, I think she knows it, that she's drop dead gorgeous. I think she knows it, but is she ever right? I would just drop dead, just drop dead, just drop dead, just drop dead. We used to think our words were gold, that our blinded hearts could withstand cold. We were catching diamonds in the rain, letting precious water through the drain. Stars were dancing in their light, paths that we could never ride. Oh, they were dancing way up high. We built these walls so we could find.
Left me in this mess, I'm falling. Never know. Can't find a reason why. Couldn't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. Couldn't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. We couldn't get any closer. We couldn't get any closer. We couldn't get any closer.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nemesis Gaming League for what you've all been waiting for. It is the Season 11 draft day. Our first ever full reset is coming your way. We got 2 exciting drafts tonight, 3 more exciting ones tomorrow. Got Novice and Prospect going on, and I'm Rockerman, happy to be back here once again with my boys. I got my boys here in the booth with me. Go around, introduce. We got starting things off. I'll introduce my guy Ben Yeagers, doxing a little bit. We got Yeagers here, starting things off here. Yeagers, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. A little less good now that I'm doxed, but you know, it's I'm ready for the draft. It's a full-on redraft, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah, sorry about that. My apologies, but you know, Yeagers, he's a staple of the Nemesis community. Surely no one will do him any harm, except maybe trying to take him out on the pitch, some demos or something. But glad to have you here. We also got Mallow, our senior manager, back in the booth. Mallow, how you doing this time?
Rocker man, I'm doing great. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to get started. I know we got a little bit to go here, but oh man, full reset. Everything's on the table. I just can't wait. I'm so speechless.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Been a long time coming for sure. And last but not least, down in my basement, we got Mirly back in the booth here. Mirly, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Honestly, the temperature control in this basement is pristine. I gotta thank Austin for that. It's super hyped for this draft. Definitely the most exciting draft that I've ever had the pleasure of getting to be a part of, with the full reset, of course. We already know it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a good time. I can't wait.
Yeah, should definitely be exciting here. I know everyone's excited to get things going. Before we do start, gotta give a couple of quick shout outs on the way here. Shout out to Logan coming back for 8 months, Merely Mental here with 51, Jaegers with 38, and Cow with 7 months here. Come back for the reset. It was much appreciated, much love. Glad to see everyone back in the chat hyping things up for the stream. So it's definitely gonna be a good one. Like we mentioned, this is the first ever full reset. We've never done this before Nemesis, but we sent them all back to the draft. Every single player is back in the draft, minus a couple of GMs that are playing this season, but everyone is back in the draft. So it's high stakes, full reset. Draft order was randomized, so there's a lot to take in with this one. So it's gonna be a lot of fun here to see where everyone's gonna fall here. And one more quick shout out to Rilo coming back for the 14 months. And I guess fellas, we might as well get this thing underway here. We'll definitely have a lot of things to talk about here in the Novice League, but we'll get things going here with round number 1, putting the Kiwis on the clock here. And Mallow, one of the things we've got this season that's a little bit different, Novice dropping down to 8 teams this time.
Yeah, they are, and the good thing though is with that is that the MMR range is also squished by, I think it was about 50 MMR, so that the player base is going to be a lot tighter together. So the skill should be pretty much close together for whoever they choose. So it's going to be some real interesting combos we'll see. But you yourself, you don't have a novice team this season, and I know you've talked about it before, how that's going to be a little weird. And there's some other GMs that I think will probably feel the same way.
Definitely. So it's gonna be a little bit weird not having the full 5 teams, but it still will be exciting with, like you mentioned, the shrunken MMR boundaries. And we have already got the first pick off the board here in the Novice League draft. Aiko is going off the board, or Aiko going off the board at number 1 overall to the Kiwis on this one. So that's the one we've seen around here, Jaegers. In past seasons, Aiko's been around for quite a few seasons now, I'd say.
Yeah, they really have. I'm trying to look up the stats from last season for him, but they have been a staple. They've been around, and they've always been solid in the league.
Definitely. So going to be 1202 off the board. So yeah, Novice, a little bit different on the boundaries this season. That's one that shook up a little bit. 1050 up to 1279. So 1279, the very top of the Novice League this season. Which merely, it's looking, I mean, the boundaries kind of looking the same as we've seen in Novice seasons in the past. But still, looking at the board, you can see a lot of recognizable names, a lot of new faces, which we always love to see in coming on a new season.
Yeah, of course, we've got some of the same characters that have made Novice the fun league that it is now. And even though the MMR boundaries, I think they are raised slightly, still gonna surely remain competitive with the wide range in there, as it looks like we are getting another pick in here.
Yeah, next pick is coming through here. Neons is going off the board for Diffusion, new GM over there. And that on that front there, congratulations, Street Soul, the GM, gonna go ahead and making his first selection as GM, selecting Neons, who was on the Spitfires last season, and now heading over to Diffusion with that selection. So gonna start things out, trying to restart that org over there, and try to make things happen with a new player.
Yeah, and we look at this here. The Neons was on Spitfires, I believe, with uh, Grebsy and I can't think of the Doug. I dug your grave as the starting three, and Grebsy, we'll be talking about prospect later, but he moved up to prospect. But Neon's who plays with Grebsy quite a bit off of outside of the league, did move up, I believe, a little bit, but a really solid player, great pick, and it looks like right now the third pick is coming in.
Yeah, third pick coming through here. Jarhead and company there. Gonna go ahead and select Mr. West, otherwise known as KCC Wizzy, off the board. So the Wisps, Jaegers, we saw them last season. I mean, they made Nemesis history. First team to ever go undefeated through the entire season. And with a full reset, now they got to start all over again. But gonna go ahead and make that pick there, trying to thread things out and keep the winning streak going.
Oh, Austin, they're the first team to ever go undefeated, and they're also the first team to ever go winless in a Nemesis season. So they're doing great on both ends. But yeah, no, I didn't realize KCC Wizzy was Mr. West. I believe I played with Mr. West in another server in a six-man's lobby last night. Pretty solid player, I will say. Wisps are getting a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good start. I have seen them around in the Discord as well before. So good luck to the Wisp. We'll see if they can keep it going. See if they can keep doing making some more Nemesis history as things go on. As the next two picks are coming in, we got kind of rapid fire here. These GMs are locked and ready to go. Up next, the Gorgons are going to go ahead and select Yosoi Reckless, and then the next one off the board is going to be the Spitfires selecting Silver J with their first pick of the draft. Another member of the server who we've seen around quite a bit. Merely, I guess two members right here we've seen around quite a bit.
Yeah, I might just not be familiar, but did Yosoi Reckless, did he have a different name before?
I don't believe so. I think he
Okay, I might be unfamiliar with this game, but I do love his name. Honestly, that is absolute fire. And coming in at 1272, he's definitely, if you're gonna start high, you want to go for someone reckless. He's your man. That's a great pickup there. And on the other side, Silver J as well. I know Silver's been around for a long time, even back. I think he was around here season 2 or season 3 in prospect. So he's been putting in work for a long time. Definitely someone that's going to be a solid start to try and build a roster around in Novice. So definitely two good pickups there.
Yeah, definitely some solid players, and like we mentioned, these rosters are all open. So it's a lot of strategy, and something we didn't mention here. Kind of looking at the board, we've kind of got round 1 and round 2 here on this one. Since there's only 8 teams in Novice this season, a little bit different than previous. This draft is a snake draft, so what you'll see up next, Savage off the board at 6, and then we're about to hit that turn at the end of round 1 here. So pick number 7 for the Crows is going to be coming up shortly. Then the Pawns are going to get back to back. So, Mallow, this is one of these things with the snake draft. When you do a full reset, the strategy has to be very involved here. Once you kind of get to this, this middle part, the end of round 1 into round 2, there's that back to back picks here that you kind of really got to consider how you're gonna make it happen, because these two like the Pawns here and the Crows coming up aren't gonna get picks until way later on down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. You would want to, either as the pawns, you definitely want to do one of two picks since you do have back to back. One of them, regardless of which one it is the one that you want to build your team around, and then the second one, might differ between GMs. Some would like to go ahead and have their solid third man in there. The other one, some others may do their big time second man that will help that push with their primary player. So it all depends, the GM and such. I personally would, if I were GM, which we've known how my draft picks have been in the past, gladiators. But yeah, I would do my primary player and the solid third man. So it all depends, and we are seeing the Crows and the Pawns select theirs, and those are some good picks I'm seeing.
Yeah, it looks like Blitz RL going off to the Crows, and then Cow Tato here resubbed earlier gonna go off to the pawns to kind of wrap up the first round here for the Novice League, and about to start making the turn. And the pawns are they were ready. They are ready to make their turn here, as they're gonna go ahead and select the Hoosier with their pick. So now we're starting to see here. Now we're starting to see Jaegers as we kind of make this turn here, and we kind of end the first round, headed into round number 2 here. We're starting to see these teams really kind of, start to. This is where you got to really find your fill, find the second man to kind of really set your roster off on the right foot.
Yeah, you really do. This is where you start setting up the chemistry for the teams. If I'm not mistaken, was Blitz RL on the Wisps team last season?
I think it was actually a different Blitz.
Was it a different Blitz? Oh well, Mr.
Yeah.
Blitz, you got some big shoes to fill.
It might have been the same Blitz. I don't know, but there was a Blitz on the Wisps last season.
There was. I think it's a different one with this one though.
Fair enough.
Blitz versus Blitz RL, unless they changed their name.
Yeah, I think there's 2 different people. Yeah, the other Blitz from last season's in Prospect this season. So we kind of got it sorted out there. So different Blitz.
And Mr. Cow has been around for a while. I believe you've had him for a little while, didn't you, Austin?
Yeah, he was on the Genesis squad for a little bit back in the day. So this man, he's a journeyman. He's a journeyman, but he's a solid player. This is one of these guys that he's gonna grind the game. No one's gonna doubt that. This guy will be grinding the game here. And that's kind of what you love to see, especially in Novice. You want to find those grinders. You want to find those players that are gonna be working to improve, because this is the league, in my opinion, where a lot of players can improve very quickly. From Novice League, this low MMR, if they put in the hours in, they can quickly move up to prospect or challenger level. So people that are grinders like that, it's always good to get one of those players on your team. And Cow going over to the Pawns. Speed Demon, the new GM, coming back there. Congratulations to him, making his first 2 picks there with Cow and Hoosier off the board. And then Crow's coming up next, selecting the X Grizz, and then Acceleration going to go off the board here, and they are selecting Rayer. I don't know how to pronounce this one.
Rayer?
Rayer. I don't know.
Something like that. That's close enough.
They used to be called Rain, I believe, which is a lot easier to pronounce than Rayer, I would say.
Rayer. Okay. Rain.
Yeah.
Rayer. Yep.
Yeah.
And it looks like the trend is holding true so far, at least numbers wise, where teams seem to have picked up their first pick, hopefully for these teams, unless they got sniped, and then picking up a little bit of a lower MMR player, but someone they probably already had in mind that will work well. And now I feel like this second round pick for these first few teams is also the point where you can breathe a little sigh of relief if your pick didn't get snapped, since they're getting those back-to-back ones now. And teams like the Kiwis, they're kind of holding out hope right now, hoping they still get their guy they want.
I do see a few big names still on the board that are going to be absolute steals going on in the second round. I don't really want to give it away. I don't want to give any GMs any ideas.
Give it away.
Shout them out.
A few people. I mean, Parallax, he was my teammate back in, I believe it was season 2. All the way back then, Nearly was also on that team. Ryan Gav, if I'm not mistaken, is an absolute beast in another league. Let's see. Ghost Bacon, solid name. Mallow, been around the league for a while.
You know that guy.
Yeah. May know that guy. Who else? Kel Cardinal, the name's familiar. Jolly Rogers, league mainstay. Just a few names on there.
Yeah, no, those are some good names, some good recognizable names. Definitely some new people on there. Quick shout out before we continue on. As I'm being told it's pronounced rare, like Rare, pronounced like rare. So that's rare there. And then Div going to the Spitfires. And quick shout out Dukes, coming back for 32 months. Much love to Mr. Dukes. We'll see his name on the board, I believe, in the Prospect League coming up soon, coming up after this one. So definitely have to stay tuned. But yeah, that Div is going to go off the board there. Don't know too much about Div. I believe they're new. And then Gorgon's going to go ahead, and they are selecting Ace with their pick, who is recognizable was on the Wisps last season, winning the championship. That undefeated team falling all the way down in the draft board to 13 on the board. So kind of a little bit of maybe a little bit of surprise to some as he falls down a little bit. And yeah, guys, now we're kind of, like you mentioned, now that we're kind of hitting towards the end of round 2, we've got a lot of rosters that kind of have a solid 2-man setup here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there's still a lot of great players on the list here. So it's going to be. I think Merely said it earlier. It's going to be about building that chemistry now. And so some of these teams that don't have their second player, and then the ones that already have their second player, they're going to start thinking about their third player to round it out for their starting crew and really. I'm looking at this list, and yeah, Jaeger's hit a lot of good names on there that I'm surprised is still on here. So I'm very interested to see who is going to get picked up next. But right now, merely what do you think? What do you think the strategy is going to be going into this final stretch?
So going into the final stretch, it's always a little bit weird because you could be in so many different places with your draft. 16 of the people you wanted to pick could have already gone snipe before you, or it could all be coming together. But like you've already gone over it, and Jaegers as well, there is so many good players left to pick from. If you know the people in in Novice, excuse me, I don't think you're going to have any struggle filling out the roster. The hard part now is kind of deciding how much MMR you want to eat up. Sometimes you do run out of ideas and you do have to take a gamble on someone you might not be 100% sure of. And at that point, do you go for someone high MMR or do you try to grab 2 low MMR players since you do have to fill out that 4th slot as well? So this is the part where the strategy is hardest in my opinion. The beginning of the draft, the middle, easy peasy. This part is where it can get a little nerve wracking.
Yeah, I
Well,
would definitely go ahead, Jaegers.
Oh yeah, well I was just gonna say at the beginning you pick your go-to guy, and then afterwards you kind of find ways to build around him. See if you pick another high MMR guy, or like have 2 mid-tier MMR people. But if you get another high MMR guy, you need to get a solid third man who you know's gonna rotate. You know that's the biggest thing is finding someone that's gonna fit in your rotations.
Definitely so. And the next couple picks are flying off the board here as we are going to close out round number 2, which will kind of close out our draft board here on the screen. Parallax is going off the board to the Wisps there. We saw Jet 40 go into Diffusion, and then Ryan and Gab to the Kiwis. So that kind of rounds out rounds 1 and 2 right here, guys. So Mallow, being a fellow novice league player right here, what are you making of round 1 and round 2 on the draft board as a whole here?
Oh man, Wisps, they're building a power team right now. Parallax and West, that's a scary duo in itself. I've played with both Parallax and West. I was actually a teammate with Parallax on Genesis 2 seasons ago, and then I played against West last season against him when I think he was Gorgons. I think I can't remember, but Wisps are looking great. The fusion with Jet and Neons, those two teams, those are the ones that are sticking out for me. But you can't count out Silver J and the Spitfires going back to that team. I believe he was there back in like season 6 or season 7. One of my first seasons here because I started in season 5 and it did really well last time I recall. So he did take a break. I don't know Div, but I would suspect pretty good chemistry there possibly. But looking at this board so far, these are all great teams building up, but the Wisps and Diffusions are definitely standing out for me.
Love to see that. Merely quickly, I'm going to throw it to you, and then we'll move on to the rounds 3 and 4 here. What are you looking at on the draft board here? Biggest surprises. What are you seeing as we kind of conclude round 2?
Yeah, overall, I think some good teams are forming here. I am still a little bit surprised that people like Parallax even going at pick 14. I thought he would be top 5 in my opinion. And some of these players I'm not as familiar with. They could surprise me, but I definitely see some duos forming like that Wisps roster. The Kiwis, I know it'll be next round, but also filling out now with an interesting third pick. The Gorgons, I think, are going to have a lot of potential there. All around, definitely don't see any moves that look like they were forced. It seems like most people are getting what they wanted.
Yeah, I would agree. As we'll kind of slide over to round number 3 and round number 4 coming right after that, with the Kiwis back on the clock. But yeah, like we mentioned, there are some dynamic duos forming as we're heading on to round number 3. So now this is kind of the point here. We talked about it, Jaegers. This is kind of the point where you have to determine. I guess it's based on who you drafted already, but this is a spot where are you getting your third? Are you getting your third player here, your starter, or are you going to be heading and looking for that sub here?
I don't know, because there aren't a lot of 1050s in the league. Let me see. 1050 is the lowest MMR, if I'm not mistaken. So if you want like a high quality top 3, you'd have to pick up a 1050 just to make sure you get a sub in at some point. Because, I mean, if you have that lowest MMR range, you can always, if needed, pick up a high quality player later on. And like the MMR caps for Novice are kind of ridiculous, Austin. Being able to have like 3 1200s is nuts in this league.
Yeah, it is quite a wide range for sure, but it does keep things open here. Opportunities for a lot of these players to kind of fill in and really shine. Hopefully, in the upcoming season. And as we move into round 3, we did talk about what was going to happen. What are these teams going to do? And you mentioned there weren't a lot of 1050s on the board, but one of them is going off. Hibiscus Red going to go off the board here to the Kiwis 1050. They're going to head over there, going to give the Kiwis 1256 cap room to work with. And I know she's been very active in the Discord, so good to see her getting selected onto the Kiwis. That is a good home there with the new GM and GM of the, or did I say new GM? New manager and GM of the Fruit Ninjas, Dr. Shadow, going to be picking her up and using with 1256 to work with the very last pick. So I guess maybe that's his strategy, knowing he's the very last pick. Maybe that's why he wants the sub, possibly.
Yeah, for sure. I think you go ahead and get that. There's so many, good players still on the list here, and I don't see where Shadow could go wrong with the pick after this. So being able to get that 1050 and looking at it, 1256, that's pretty much everyone but the top 4 on the board. So there's going to be plenty of room for Shadow to do that. And you talked about new management. There's also one thing we haven't touched on yet, I don't believe, is we got 5 new GMs this season. So looking at this, some are returning or previous GMs like the Pawns with Speed Demon, but we got a lot of new GMs here.
Definitely. So we do here, as we're gonna have to back that last pickup. Kel Cardinal not quite gonna fit on that roster there. Close, one MMR off actually. That one's not gonna work. Street Soul's gonna have to back that one up a sec, but we'll hang tight here and allow him to repick. That's the one thing you have to consider too here, Merrily. That's probably the toughest part. Like we mentioned with this, is trying to fit everyone within this cap room here. You need to have enough room to at least select a 4th player.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like very hard math. And when you're actually doing the addition and subtraction, it's not. But sometimes when you just have to go with a slightly different pick, it can completely throw things off. And a bit of a card there. So now, I mean, what I gained from that is that Diffusion was looking to pick up Cull Cardinal. Now, if I'm in a spot where I have my 2 players, I have 3 players, and I have enough MMR left over, I might be looking to snipe that, use it as a piece of leverage, or see if Cull Cardinal would be good on my roster. That's the first time so far this draft. I know it'll happen probably a couple more times where the math doesn't quite add up, but 1 MMR, man, that is rough.
Yeah, that's about as close as it can get there. And I think his strategy here seemed to be try to stack that top 3 as much as he could. So we'll see what Street Soul decides to do as Fusion back on the clock, and they are going to go ahead and select NyQuil with their pick. Little NyQuil here, who I think has been around many seasons in Nemesis. Going to be heading over there, and I believe that one should definitely work. 1098, so I'll give him some room to work with for sure. Taking a little NyQuil off the board.
Yeah, that's a solid, third or even NyQuil could start. NyQuil was great with the Whelps last season, I believe. Was in the playoffs with that team. Oh wait, no, was it the Whelps? I don't think it was the Whelps. It was the Ignite team. Yeah, it was Ignite. I was confusing teams there, but the Ignite still was in the playoffs, and great pickup there. Solid player, whether you use him as a starter or as a backup, or if you're rotating him in, who knows? But still a solid player.
Definitely. And speaking of solid players going off the board, one and only Mallow is going to be the next one on the board here, heading to the Wisps there. Congratulations, Mr. Mallow, going to be heading over into the formerly 18, well, I guess 21-0 Wisps now. What are you making of your roster over there right now?
Oh man, well, Parallax. I mentioned a couple seasons ago I did play with Parallax. I was a sub for Genesis. When I played there, we as the sub, we did not lose. And West is a great captain and a great player as well. Was very tough to play against the Gorgons when it was Jolly Roger, Frosty, and myself. So to be on this team, I can't wait to see what we'll do, and it's looking like a really tough team, if I have to say so myself.
Love to see that there. As Mallow going to be heading to the Wisps, and Action, who, like Merely said, he's probably going to be going off the board. He's heading to the Gorgons, so maybe a little bit of gamesmanship from Mr. Mealy over there, going to take him off the board.
Oh wait, I was talking about Kel Cardinal, right?
Oh, well, Kel Cardinal's the next one. But actually, the reason I said Action is because Wisp tried to select Action. I guess we didn't really see that. The chat couldn't see that. That's why I brought that up. But Kel Cardinal is going next here to the Spitfires. So hey, my point stands. One pick later.
Oh, even stronger. The prediction rings true. I'm also curious how that'll play out. Whether they, to be honest, I'm not familiar with either of these players' game. Maybe they will end up being used as pawns, or maybe they will stay on their respective teams and do work. Either way, I think that's going to be a solid pickup. Tried and true and tested already by the previous drafters. Unless it's like the biggest case of universal mind games ever played.
Well, merely they didn't go to the pawns. They went to the Gorgons and Spitfires, respectively.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So we hired him right there for that one. But yeah, that one, some recognizable names. I do recognize Action. Obviously, Kel Cardinal's been around here for a while. I know probably most famously on the Wisps, the Whelps in my eyes, from a couple seasons ago. So I definitely think it's a solid pickup there to round that one out. And now we're kind of seeing these rosters, like we mentioned, in this third round here, as we're kind of rounding things out almost in the third round here with Are You Fluffy heading up next to Acceleration. We're kind of starting to see here a couple teams like Spitfires and Gorgons. They're playing for that 1050 sub there. Gorgons with 1053 remaining, Spitfires with 1053 remaining as well. So they're going to be looking to snag one of those low MMR players up. And it looks like, we're starting to see some solid 3-man rosters built there. Jaeger, Spitfires, Silverjay, Kel Cardinal, Div. Gorgons, Ace, Action, Yosoi, Reckless. there's some solid rosters starting to be built.
Yeah, absolutely. Just have to hope that main roster shows up every week, or that that sub steps up. And we've seen it before with Novice, like towards the end of the season, middle to end of the season, people like super low rank just start peaking out of nowhere. Like Rooney, I believe that was season 8 or 9. The not Spitfires.
Ignite.
Ignite's not here anymore, but they had that crazy run to make it to the 10th seed. and then win it all.
That's true. You never know. That's the one reason why we kind of love the novice league is this is the probably the most unknown out of all the leagues. Obviously, there's some new players that come into Nemesis in every league, but I feel like Mallow novice has that potential to just you just find like an insane diamond in the rough, and they can just kind of go crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when you look at it, or when you think about it, Novice is one of the two bottom leagues that we'll have here in Nemesis. In the past couple of seasons, Novice has been the lower league, and so you're going to get players that come in and they're going to improve throughout the season. Who eventually should be prospect or even higher, depending how well they do or how much they improve. So Novice kind of that stepping stone you'll see, but yeah, you'll see some players improve throughout the season, and things will start looking more like prospect and challenger sometimes.
Definitely so. And as we kind of round out round 3 here, got to give a couple more quick shout outs here. Shout out to Flame Intruder coming back for 12 months. Happy birthday, Flame Intruder, on the channel here. And then Jarhead coming back for 25 months. Much love, much appreciated from the Graveyard Shift GM there as well. Thank you guys for the support as always. As the next couple picks are in, I think we mentioned Are You Fluffy go into acceleration. I feel like I recognize his name on acceleration for like 5 or 6 seasons now. I feel like he's been there, kind of a staple, even with the full reset is still there. Chrome Moisty going to the Crows, and I Fear the Beard going to be heading over to the Pawns off the board, who are going to be rounding out their roster here, selecting T Griffin as well as now we're getting to the very last picks on these rosters here.
What's Beard doing in Novice?
I don't know.
Honestly.
It's a little bit strange. I mean, I think that team has a lot of potential actually. I know Cow's a grinder. We always see him around. He's always playing 6-mans or playing ranked. And Beard, yeah, he was prospect. Was he as high as challenger before?
Maybe.
I don't believe so.
Or
I think
like
he was
top
just
of prospect.
I think he was just a
Yeah.
little bit close to the top of prospect.
Yeah.
High prospect. But he's been around for a long time, so he definitely knows what's up. That will be our first full roster as well. They play it to perfection, getting that 1050 sub with the numbers as well in there. But I think that could be a very solid team. I don't have as much information on Griffin as well, but just the top 3 all 1200s. It's in the middle MMR wise, but once again, I think it has a lot of potential.
That one gonna be our first completed roster, and we're gonna find our second completed roster as we're officially into the 4th round now. On the board here, Crow is gonna select Ace Upica. Gonna be going off the board to the Crows. So the Crows gonna fill out their roster. 8 MR remaining. That's another 1050 off the board. So these people, Jaegers, they know how to use this. They know how to use this MMR room to perfection. You got 8 MR remaining for the Crows. You got 22 remaining for the Pawns, but these people are working it.
I mean, I did it earlier. All you have to do is break out the calculator. See when.
That's true. Get the calculator ready.
Just for drafts like these with the MMR the way that it is, you have to pull out the calculator if you see which teams are possible, and just kind of move some pieces around, see what you can do.
Definitely so, and yeah, like Mallow mentioned earlier with the new GMs here, new GM of the Atrium org, Crippist, making his selections here, so he's got his first roster of the night and of season 11, so kind of filling things out there. Blitz RL, Crow Moisty, DX Grizz, and Ace Upica going to be the Crows roster. So Crows and Pawns, first one's filled up, and Acceleration is going to come through and selected another great name here. Another person who's been around in Nemesis for quite some time. I Dug Your Grave, probably most recognizable on the Vandals, but he's been around for a while. Going to be heading to Acceleration to round out that roster.
Oh, yeah, bro's name is Doug. That's that's such a great name.
It is.
It is, and I mentioned it earlier. He was on the Spitfires with Grebsy and Neons last season, and they did really well. I can't quite remember. I think they at least made it to play-ins, maybe playoffs. I can't remember. I think they were in play-ins and then had some internet issues, which causes them to get beat in that game, whoever they were facing. I can't remember, but I dug your grave. Great player. That's good. That's a great addition to that team with Savage. And we're looking at these rosters now. We're down to the last couple of picks, and there's still a couple of great players on the list that won't get picked. But don't get discouraged because there will be moves made. Sometimes they do it as soon as the first or second week.
Yeah, that's true. So you gotta watch out for that for sure here. And yeah, like we mentioned, even if you don't get picked up, have no fear. There's still a lot of time. I mean, the roster moves are getting made. Yeah, like Melo said, pretty much like a week by week basis. So there definitely be some roster spots opening up, even if you don't get selected tonight. As long as you're active in the Discord, you'll definitely have a good shot here. As yeah, we're gonna round out here a couple more rosters. Spitfire is gonna go ahead and select L Money Mizzy, a former champion on the Spitfires seasons ago, way back in season 6. He was the sub. Looks like he's gonna be the sub this time around as well. And then the Gorgons gonna go ahead and select Mondeller with their sub spot at 1050. So Mondeller fitting in there, and that's gonna put the Wisps back on the clock. But I'm seeing some really good names here. I'm surprised this guy. I mean, I may be calling out a pick for like the Kiwis here. It looks like the only ones that have room to select him right now. But Jolly Rogers is still on the board, which surprises me because if I had a novice team, I would have drafted that guy right back onto my novice team for sure.
I was just gonna say that too.
Yeah.
How is Jolly Rogers not drafted yet? Someone come get your man. I mean, it's just the Kiwis now. I wouldn't be surprised if a move is still made for him, but he's been around forever. He's a rock, an absolute rock.
And Mallow, you got to play with them last season on Genesis. So what can you say about our boy Jolly Rogers there?
Oh yeah. Absolute monster of a demo man. He can get under your skin if you're not careful. I've seen it happen. So it happened, I think, at least once or twice last season. It definitely made some people angry. But Jolly Rogers being on there, I'll be shocked if the Kiwis don't pick him. But like I said, it's early in the season, so even if he doesn't, he'll get picked up very quickly.
Definitely so. As we're rapid fire through the last couple of picks here off the board. I mean, these novice GMs, they were not messing around. They knew who they needed to select, even with the slightly shorter clock time of 2:30 for this draft. They pretty much zoomed through this here. As Wisp are going to go ahead and select Vanilla Face, as looks like possibly the sub position, and Diffusion is going to go ahead and get Nerd Strafe, as looks like they're third there. So it's all down to the Kiwis here for their final pick. But yeah, Jaegers, we got a couple rosters. We got a couple of rosters that have all been rounded out
All
here.
been filled out. Yeah. No, it's a lot of good teams. This novice season's gonna be super competitive. Already looking at the rosters, from what I already know, I could see the Pawns doing very well. Wisps and Kiwis. Those are my top 3 right now.
Yeah, and well, maybe the Kiwis. I don't know if it's going to change for you, but there they go, selecting the final pick of the draft. Jolly Rogers going to go off the board. So that is going to wrap it up for the novice draft. Went by actually a lot quicker than I would have thought here. I think the GMs are really on their A game here. But I guess we can kind of go around now. We got some rosters that have really been settled here. Let's go around here. I'm going to start merely with you on this board here. What are you looking at roster wise? Who's looking like the favorites here? What interests you the most out of these rosters now that we got all 8 of them completed?
So the Kiwis did the right thing. They picked up Jolly Rogers, and for that reason, they are winning it all. The championship is in the bag. I've been seeing nonstop in chat that Ryan Gav is like the best player to ever live. Like he 1v3'd Squishy Muffins, apparently Jack and Joria's or something.
Okay.
I personally am not familiar with his game once again, but I've seen a lot of hype from him. So I think the Kiwis have to be one of the top teams no matter what. I am also looking as another shot at the Spitfires. I think the Spitfires have a really solid rock in Silver J. Of course, we're talking about Kel Cardinal as well and Div. I think that they're going to have a really good shot at it as well. Yeah, I think those are going to be my top two picks with an honorable mention. I think the Wisps. I'm really interested to see how it plays out. I think they have a really good roster under their belt. I know Parallax and Mallow very well. The one I know Mallow plays well with West as well, so I think they'll be up there as well.
Definitely. So Jaegers, I'll throw it to you here. What do you like, and who's your favorite here in the Novice League?
Yeah, since he got drafted to the Kiwis, I'm gonna drop the Kiwis out of my top three. No, actually, I honestly I do see Kiwis as my top team. This is a little embarrassing. Ryan Gav dig dog on me in another league.
Oh,
But yeah, no, very very solid player, very solid team.
nice. Mallow, you are in the Novice League. Obviously, your favorite's gonna be the Wisps here, your new home. But besides yourself here, who are you looking at as possibly your top competitors in the Novice League?
Yeah. So Kiwis picking up Jolly Rogers really made that a solid team. Ryan Gav, I've actually played with. He was going to be a sub for either I don't know if it was Genesis, but we were going to use him as a sub at some point, and we ended up getting an FF win, so we didn't actually use him in league play. But when we were warming up with him, he is a very very good player, and yeah, his MMR being 1264 definitely would think should be higher, but he's going to be a very very good primary man for that team with Jolly Rogers going for those demos, and yeah, that's going to be a scary team. I would agree that Diffusion's going to be another one. Nerd Strafe, he was our fourth man because he played quite a bit for Frosty and myself for when we weren't available. He was a solid pick. So him at 1148 is also a good pickup for Diffusion. Diffusion's going to be good, and trying to look and see who else here, but everyone else, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a very very close Novice season once again, and yeah, the Wisps. I can't wait to see how that chemistry is going to work out because I know both Parallax and West, and I think it's going to be a fun season. It'll be fun regardless, though.
Definitely. So a lot of great teams. I'll give a couple shout outs here too. I'm curious to see how the Pawns are going to do. You got Cow, I Fear the Beard, T Griffin, who I all recognize, and the Hoosier. I don't really know too much about them, but I'm curious to see how they're going to shake out. And then Acceleration. I'm wondering how Jax, who we also is a new GM that we didn't mention. I'm curious how Savage and I Dug Your Grave, Rare and Fluffy. They got like a four-man kind of split in the middle. They don't really have like the top three in the sub, so I'm curious to see how their rosters are going to shake out. But yeah, there are a lot of very solid teams here. I mean, Gorgon's looking good as well, and the Crows too. Going to be interesting to see how they shake out. But yeah, it was a pretty solid novice league draft here for this one. So what we're going to do here, first I'm going to give a quick shout out to Hydra RL coming back for 24 months. Happy two-year birthday to Mr. Hydra RL. Appreciate the support coming back here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a couple-minute break here just briefly. And when we come back, we're going to be going to the prospect. We're going to switch out a caster here or there. He doesn't want to be in the booth here. He doesn't want to decide his fate with us all.
I didn't want to glaze myself,
yeah, he didn't want to. He didn't want to. He didn't want to know his fate. We didn't want to see him crying and
Yeah.
biting his nails and whatnot. So he's gonna swap out here. We're gonna bring Cozy Boy in the booth here after the break, and then we're gonna be heading to the Prospect League in just a few minutes. So yeah, make sure you guys, once again, if you didn't get drafted, make sure to stay active in the Discord. That's the best thing you can do to get a chance for this upcoming season. That, like we said, there's gonna be a lot of roster moves. Some of these people won't fit on rosters, like chemistry wise. And some of these players, might not be as active as they originally intended. So make sure you're active in the Discord, even if you didn't get drafted, and you'll give yourself a good shot to be on a roster for next season. So yeah, with that being said, couple-minute break. We're gonna switch out the casters. We're gonna take a little break. But we'll be back in a few minutes with the Prospect League draft. So make sure you guys stick around, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Later. Sweet.
Sweet.
Cool. I can go
Sweet.
use the restroom real
I'm up against the wall. How can it be growing taller? I'm high on adrenaline. I see the world burning in a vision. Hands up as we fall. Don't know where they begin. Hands up as we fall. Spinning faster. Hands up as we fall. Don't know where they begin. Hands up as we fall. Spinning faster. Hands up as we fall. Hands up as we fall. Hands up as we fall. Up against a wall, on the edge, seconds till I fall. I'm high on adrenaline. I see the world burning from within. Bodies in the alley, keep one hand on my money. I try to lose them in the dark. Colors bleed together, I can't run any faster. It will end before it starts. do the same. But left me in this mess, I'm falling. Heaven knows. Can't find a reason why. Couldn't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. Couldn't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. We couldn't get any closer. We couldn't get any
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are heading up to the Prospect League for our second of two drafts for the night. So I guess our final draft of the night here. But this is a big one. This is the first one where we got 16 teams on the board. So this one is definitely going to be a thriller. A lot of players on the line in this one that we're going to be watching out for. I've got a couple of familiar faces, Merely and Mallow, back in the booth once again, and I got a new face to the booth. New management member and the Aeronautics GM with us. We got Cozy Boy. Cozy, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. Yeagers just said he didn't want to glaze himself, but I'll glaze myself in the Prospect League. You feel me? We're about to have the best team up in here.
Hey, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it. If
I
if
feel you.
Jaegers won't, then you will.
Yep, yes, sir.
Hey, there we go. There we go. So, yeah, welcome to the booth, and yeah, welcome back, everyone, here as we're gonna be heading to the Prospect League, where things are gonna be very interesting. One thing that we didn't really get to talk about, Mallow, in the last one is what happened with these GMs that are playing. But we've seen there are a couple GMs on rosters already here. So do you want to kind of walk people through what happened with the GMs that are playing this season and how the draft picks were used for them?
I'll start, but I think you'll have to finish it for me, just
Okay.
because number one, before I even start that piece, shout out to anyone that is having trouble with the hurricanes that have recently been affecting the southeast. Hopefully you're all okay and safe, and your family as well. But when I was out for the hurricane, I think a lot of decisions were made, and so I'm kind of a little iffy on what was made. So we got what is this? 5 people, 5 teams with GMs that are getting retained, and so depending what pick is used was dependent on what half of the MMR range you were, I believe. So if you were on the top half of the MMR, you were going to be used in the first round. If you're on the bottom half, you're in the second round. So, and if I'm not correct there, Rockerman, please do correct me, but that's kind of what'll happen here. So that way, the GM, if they're playing, will use that pick.
Yep, that's exactly right there. Yeah, if they were a GM in the top half of the MMR range, they would use a first round pick on themselves, and if they're a GM in the bottom half of the MMR range, they use a second round pick on themselves. So a little bit of an advantage to be on the team. So that kind of helps mitigate a little bit of the advantage there. So what you'll see here on the board already is we've got Bondo to the Wyverns. So he's the first pick before the draft even started. The Wyverns had the number 1 pick, but yeah, Bondo off the board there. So, merely our pseudo number 1 overall pick here is going to be Hypernova, who is now officially on the clock.
Well, Bondo, great pick. Just got to give it up to him. With not many options, he did the best he could, and I think that's a fantastic choice. But in all seriousness, taking over the Dragon Energy, that is a big legacy to live up to. I know Bondo is a great guy. I'm not super close to him, but I have friends that know him, and he's a great guy. I think he'll do the Dragon Energy justice, as we're still waiting for that first pick to come in here.
Yeah, and it looks like it looks like it will be coming through here. I almost messed something up there. But it looks like Lucky is going off the board for the first overall pick. I'm gonna make sure we got the right Lucky here. Looks like you got him. Might be Chase in the Discord. But Hypernova, Mr. DJD, is gonna go ahead and make that selection off the board. So first overall pick. Not too sure about this. Maybe Cozy. I know you're in the prospect league as a GM this season. Maybe you can be our resident prospect expert for this one.
Oh, right. Actually, it's funny because I do know Lucky. He's from another league I'm in, and actually invited him to Nemesis not too long ago. So it's really cool to see him get picked up. Very good player. I don't know if y'all know, like Duke. I played with Dukes last season, and he has very like Dukes-esque kind of play style. So very good pickup, I think.
Nice. Yeah, we do know Dukes. He did resub earlier, so we'll be looking to see him come off the board at some point. And well, I mean, I don't think we had to wait too long here as well for this one, as there is the man we've been looking for. It's Jaegers off the board, going back to the Blackhawks here for another season. So merely there goes our boy.
It's just so obvious. If he wasn't going top 3, then he wasn't playing at all. I mean, this guy transcends MMR. He's going to be pre-jumping before you can even make your draft pick. He's already there. So top 3 expected. He's going to do great. And yeah, that's a solid first pick to build your team around.
Definitely. So we love our guy Jaegers there. So we're gonna see what they're gonna do. I was told that their pick a little bit of a change of plans and what the Blackhawks are gonna have to do. So they're gonna kind of be working on the fly here to figure out how they're gonna fill out that roster with Jaegers. So I think they're gonna be looking around trying to figure things out there. But he is definitely a solid place to start. And up next, we got another guy who's been in Nemesis for a bit. Season 10 champion coming right here. We got CJ Fire, a great name there. Gonna go to the Gladiators, Mallow, with the number 4 overall pick.
Yeah, that's a great pickup. With the Gladiators, not having great success when I did the draft a couple of seasons ago, going 0 and not going winless, I should say. I'll just keep it at that. But yeah, great pickup there by CJ Fire, or for CJ Fire going to that squad. Just touching back on Jaegers' is a pickup there at $13.95, completely undervalued. He should be top of prospect easy. That's a hell of a steal. I don't like saying that much, but that's such a crazy pickup that you got to be shocked and you got to throw a little shock factor to it. So great pickup there by both teams, and we're starting to see more fly off the board now.
Yeah, and this is a spicy pick coming off the board. We got Turbo Fuego going to the Vipers there at number 5 overall. I know this guy was trying to push in a challenger, didn't quite make it in, but he is going to go off the board there to the Vipers with that selection. So good pickup there to see. Merely we got a little bit of experience with Turbo Fuego for a brief period of time last season.
Yeah, he was briefly under the Ascension banner last period, and he wasn't there long, but we do know that he's a grinder. We know he has ambition, so even the fact that he's wanting to be moved up into Challenger, he's probably going to work extra hard at the MMR that he's at now. So I think that is a really solid first pick up there for the Vipers.
Definitely so, and looking for Zerko here in the Discord. If someone can help me out, a little assist here. Cannot find it, but Zerko is allegedly the next pick off the board here. But I can't find it. I can't find his name. I can't find his
unknown.
name for
Dot
Faded.
unknown.
Dot unknown. Goodness. Wait, what?
Unknown.
Is that his name? Is that what you're saying? His name is?
Yeah, it's a Discord username.
Dot unknown. Oh, someone ping him.
Unknown.7.
He's hiding. I can't see him for some reason. Nope, not seeing it.
In the world?
Can someone ping him in support? One of us in here, or mods. Oh, there we go. Thank you. He wasn't popping up for me. Technical difficulties.
Yeah. Yeah, if you type his whole Discord username with the ad. Even if it doesn't pop up, it'll mention them.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't know if I was typing it correctly. Apologies. But we got it sorted. Zerko off the board to Faded. A little technical difficulties. He was hiding even though his name was correct. I don't know how he did that, but impressive. Maybe this guy is well, I don't know. Maybe he's a sleeper. He's a sleeper pick out here. He won't Discord can't find him. I can't find him. I don't know. Maybe the enemy team won't be able to find him on the pitch for Faded.
A little unknown about him.
I mean, that is why his username is unknown.
Hey, maybe, maybe there. But yeah, he's gonna go off the board. There's Zerko coming off the board, gonna be filling in that roster with Street Soul, who we'll see from the second round pick, new GM there. So that's like we mentioned, that's kind of the advantage there. Cozy, I know you'll have to deal with this. You'll have to deal with this shortly. But that's kind of the advantage there of having the GM playing is Street Soul knows I'm selecting the second round. This first round pick, I get to select who I want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely going to be interested to see how Faded does there as the rook's on the clock, and they're going to go ahead and select. Now this is a great name. This is a great name here too. I love the lookout for the great names. It's a Nemesis tradition. We got Reuben Sandwich off the board there.
Making me hungry, man.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Great name right there.
They're gonna make us hungry there. He's going to the rooks with Speed Demon. So we got Speed Demon and Reuben Sandwich. A good combination right there to start things off.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cozy Boy may recognize Reuben from a different league, but I love Reuben Sandwich. Great player, great guy. Heck of a player. So I can't wait to see him and Speed on the pitch because that is actually a scary duo.
Definitely so here as looks like that's gonna put me on the clock here. I've got an idea of what I'm doing here. For Origin, I'm gonna go bring back the man, the myth, the legend, Air Sweeney, 2-time MVP. He's coming home. We do it the full reset, which you can switch things up, but nothing wrong with bringing a guy home. Hey, I can't go wrong having a 2-time MVP in the prospect league drop to me at 8. So I'm gonna snag him up right away.
I mean, as much as I can't give Rockerman any credit because I just can't do that. But Sweeney, I'll give him credit. He's a fantastic player. That's a great first round pickup. Probably completely accidental since it was Rockerman. He has no idea what he's doing. But Sweeney, man, yeah, like you said, the 2-time, maybe make it 3. Probably not because it's on Rockerman's work. But absolutely great player. He's gonna do amazing.
Yeah, Jaegers and Sweeney going to top 8 just shows you how good that Origin team was last season. Very good players there.
Yeah, we did have a team. We did have a team over there. That is for sure. Got 3 great players. I have 4 great players really. But I'm glad to get Sweeney back in the org. That's actually my first pick of the entire draft night. So happy to make Sweeney that selection. And Banshees are gonna be selecting Tuan with their pick, with their first pick of Prospect League draft. Gonna open up their space there on that one. So Tuan going over to the Banshees. Gonna put the Melons on the clock.
Yeah, and oops, I hit the wrong button there. Wait, what's happening?
Okay, that's a little. I don't know what they're doing out there. But yeah, it should be. This is correct. Our new management member is he sees the Kiwis are selecting critters somehow. I don't know how they're doing that, but I don't think that's possible for them to select critter. But it was a good good idea. I guess. a good idea there. As he's gonna try again there. All right, he's gonna try again. The melons are gonna select critter. Okay, I was thinking. It got me thinking a little bit. I was like, that'd be kind of impressive. Critter down in Novice League, but not quite yet.
My head's in a vice right now. I can't be reading and seeing these things disappear and all that. So something you don't know about me today. I'm just dealing with some head cold stuff. So like. Getting ran over by a Mack truck right now and trying to read Dr. Shadow's text over here is driving me up this brick wall behind me.
Who let this guy get management? Who let this
I
happen?
know, right? Tell me about it.
Bro.
Who would that
Just
be?
that senile old man. It's great pickup though. Shadow picking up the critter. Great pickup. Good first rounder. Not surprised there. I don't know if Shadow plans to play this season, but either way, Critter's a great pickup.
Definitely a great pickup. I love Critter, former management member. You know, if there was any world where he fell any further, Critter was on my draft board for sure. So good to see him get picked up. Melons, Fruit Ninja's obviously another very historic Nemesis org. So that is a great spot to find himself there on that one. As we got a couple more picks coming in rapid fire here. Velocity going to go ahead and select Crotera, and then the Bandits gonna go ahead and select Kovalchuk there, who I've had a history with in the past. Way back in season 4, I think Merely might remember those days, the battle of Rockerman versus Kovalchuk in the grand finals.
Oh yeah. Kovalchuk, a lot of history in this league. Also on our team at a couple seasons ago, even or a few seasons ago now, I suppose. That arc did resolve itself, but if Kovalchuk, the one thing I remember from the past was that his schedule would be a little bit hard to work around sometimes. But if his schedule is freed up and he's able to play every game, man, that's a scary roster, whatever one he's going to be on, because he would put in work in Challenger. Now down there in Prospect, I see good things from wherever he goes.
Definitely so over there in the Bandits for Sandsbar, gonna select him at number 13. And then off the board at 14, our good old streamer helping us out tonight. Big shout out to Cream, who's gonna be heading over to Flurry. Much love for our glorious graphics lead. Big help tonight, as always. So gonna be heading over there. The Dan plan is back into effect, Cozy Boy. Gotta love the Dan plan there. Gonna select Cream off the board.
Oh yeah, the damn plan. Very smart, very good pickup. I'm gonna be making graphics all the time for sure. Best graphics in Nemesis, hands down.
This is true. This is very true, and we'll see. We'll see how Cream does. Cream was a great player last season.
Oh yeah.
In the postseason, and we have to see how that Flurry squad is going to work out there. I'm going to select Cream there to kind of make their first pick and first position there. So, congratulations to Cream, and that is going to put the Minotaurs now on the clock here. So Mealy's going to have to do some thinking, but as he does here, Mal, I'm gonna throw it to you. We got a couple of rosters with these GMs that have kind of filled up here. We got Rooks with 2, Melons with 2, and Faded with 2. How are you liking these rosters so far? As we're almost about to round out round number 1.
Yeah, I'm looking at these picks right now, and they're looking really good. I'm looking at the board, and I see some things going on, but Cream going to Flurry, Dan getting his first pick of the draft as well, just like you. Solid first round so far, and you know we're most of the way there, but there's a lot of great names and prospects. So I expect to see a lot more good first mans go off the board here.
Definitely so. As the timer is ticking on Mr. Mealy, we'll have to see. I know he's coordinating a lot of mod stuff, but almost time for his pick there. As we're getting down to it. I mean, there is, like you mentioned, Merely, there is a lot of players that we'll recognize on the board there, over on the Prospect League draft board.
There absolutely is, and one thing I've been noticing as I look at the list of players available more is there is a lot of really good players for really good value in Prospect. In my opinion, at least, a lot of these players, Ariso coming back, Quackbot been around for forever, Dukes at only 1332. A lot of these players, I feel like, are absolute steals for their MMR. So a lot of the players we've seen so far haven't really been surprising. A lot of them have been high MMR pickups. But there's going to be a lot of room to work with, and I think I think there's going to be a little bit of stealing going on once we get towards the middle and the end, when the GMs realize how easily they can fit in some really solid players.
Definitely so. As the Minotaurs at the last second, they're going to be selecting Alpaca with their pick with their pick. Maybe a little bit of, they got some mod chemistry over there. New trial mod on the team. They're going to be heading over to the Minotaurs to start out their roster, and then Ember coming through. They are going to be selecting their last pick or last pick of the first round here, which is going to be Help with their pick. So that's going to round it out here with the first round. A lot of big names off the board. Maybe a couple unknowns. I think I recognize almost everyone on this board besides a couple of them. Cozy, what do you make of the first round here and how things shook up?
Oh yeah, well, going back to that last, or not last pick, but the alpaca pickup. I remember he did a whole bunch of good things over in on the Ignite, I think it was, in the Novice League last season. So very good pickup. I was going to mention that when Merely was mentioning players, I was thinking like he's one of those good players too. People can look at. But yeah, very good round we have here. A lot of like Critter, Dr. Shadow. It's gonna be exciting. See Critter down here in Prospect, and then of course other two team Ruben Sandwich, great name. And I know him from MLE as well. He's another league we have. And Speed Demon. It's gonna be exciting. I think a lot of good players here, but a lot of good players up to come too.
That's true. There are a lot of them still remaining. So we'll keep things moving right along, folks, as we're gonna head into round number 2 here. Ember gonna be put back on the clock, and they already locked and loaded with their pick, and they are gonna go ahead and select Brindy the Blade, who is merely, again, I'll throw it to you. He's one of these guys that we've seen around the Nemesis League for a long time. Here and there, going to be heading over to Ember with Help.
And yeah, that's just a really solid pickup. Brindy, like you said, he's been around forever. He's a really solid player. He does good, and he plays the game. He plays the game a lot. So I know he's gonna be putting in work, trying to do his best in Prospect this season, with the help on his team. I could see some really good things happening over there.
Yeah, definitely so there. Brindy the Blade, always good to see him get selected there, and going to be heading over to Ember to see what they can do this season. And there is the other Blitz, guys. We got Blitz in the first draft, we got Blitz in the second draft, and this one is the former champion here from last season on the Wisp. This is the one we were looking for. Not the other Blitz isn't great. I'm sure he can do great things, but this is the one from the undefeated Wisp Mallow, going to be heading over to the Minotaurs with Alpaca.
Yeah, that's a great pickup, and so you got now two former novice players coming up to Prospect, and they're going to team up together here. And both of these players, great job they did last season. And let's see, looking at the one of the things that I was going to go to also afterwards before I lost my train of thought was. We got more teams and the cap, and we saw last in the Novice League, we had the one team. I believe, who was it? I don't remember who it was. Wasn't Kiwis, right? It was whoever was trying to pick up Kel Cardinal, Diffusion, I believe, maybe. But anyway,
yeah, Diffusion.
So we're getting to that point to where you really got to start doing the math and who you want to pick up as your third and fourth, and if for some they're second. So it's going to be really interesting what the Minotaurs do here to do for their starting roster. So we'll see what happens, and let's see. We got 2 more picks coming off the board.
Yeah, waiting to find this guy once again in the Discord. Flurry trying to select crates here. I'm looking for him. I cannot find him right now. May need some assistance to find crates. But Flurry trying to select crates to team up with Cream. So you got Cream and crates on the board here on this one. So we'll have to see how that duo is going to work out. This looks like we're looking for him. We're trying to make sure he's still in the Discord here on this one. So we'll hang tight for a second, but while the mods assist to help us find crates here.
It's a 4 instead of an A.
How is it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. All right, this is why we got Mallow putting in the work here. Ah, there he is.
Let's
Crates.
go.
All right. There we go. We got him. We found him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Let's go.
I give Foam credit for that one.
Okay, shout out to Foam. We love Foam.
Foam to
That's a
go.
champ. That's a champion right there. Thank you, Foam. Nemesis legend, season 1 legend. Got the championship last season. He'll be making some selections. We already saw him make one earlier with CJ Fire, so we'll see how things shake out with him. But shout out to Foam. Love my guy Foam there. Crates going over there, and then the Bandits are gonna select Eriso with their pick, another person who we have seen around in Nemesis quite a bit in the past.
Yeah, and the skulls are getting thrown out over it. It's Sanspar for that pick, but no, Ariso's a really great pickup, and with Kovalchuk, that's already. I don't know if Ariso is planning to be a starter here, but even so, Ariso and Kovalchuk is kind of a scary duo when I think about that.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, those two are players that have been up in the higher leagues before. I believe both have been at least challenger at some point in time. Both have a lot of history in Nemesis. They got that experience, so that could be a good starting roster. And something to mention here as we kind of continue on, like we referenced at the beginning of the prospect draft. If you're wondering why are there random names in the middle of the second round, remember those are the GMs. There you see Dr. Shadow, Speed Demon coming up here, already selected. Essentially selected because they're GMs that are playing. So they'll use a second round pick on themselves here in the Prospect League draft. So we'll have to see. They pretty much got their two of their rosters, or two of the players on the roster rounded out. So they will not be selecting this round, but they'll be selecting again in round 3. As speaking of selecting, Velocity is going to come through and they're going to select Maki with their pick, who I believe was on Ignite last season. If I recall correctly,
Rooks.
there's Rooks. Okay, apologies. Ignite at one point. Rooks last season, season 10 All Star off the board there with that one.
Then boom.
Yep, definitely Rooks.
Okay.
And looking at the chat too, it looks like Ariso and Kovalchuk actually teamed up previously as well. So if they've already got some chemistry together, that further proves the point of a scary duo. So Maki and Crotera on Velocity there, I think that's also a good duo. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams are going to start rounding out their rosters once they pick up their second man. Merely, what do you think that they should start thinking about when it comes to their third round pick for some of these teams that have their second man already?
Yeah, so I mean, what I said earlier as well, I feel like is still true with there being a lot of people to still work with in the middle and lower part of the pack. Even if you spent MMR on someone who might be a little bit more expensive than you'd like, there's more than enough players to make up for that deficit. Maki there going with Crotera, I think that's a good pickup from Velocity. Now they've got a good amount of MMR to work with still. They could still get a mid 1300s and be fine. And pretty much all these teams. I don't think anyone's in a bad spot yet. I don't think anyone's made any big blunders again. These GMs nowadays, man, they're on top of it.
Yeah, they really are, as the next couple picks are coming in rapid fire here. We have got Dukes going to the Warhawks. Banshee's going to select Septune, and then Origin. We're going to select Hunzer with our pick. I'll throw it to you, Cozy Boy, since you just made your selection with Duke. I know you mentioned someone being Dukes-esque before, so it kind of makes sense you're going with your boy Dukes here.
Heck yeah, I love my man Dukes. Oh, I'm so excited to have him back. We did really well. I mean, we had a really good season last season. There's some hiccups in the middle of the season, but man, I love Dukes, and I'm very, very excited to play with him again.
Sir, that would be a scary dynamic duo right there in that division. So way down in the Mountain Division. So we'll see how they shake out. And then Banshee's getting Septune, another great player as well, off the board for Jarhead and company. And then Origin. Maybe I'm just running it back, guys. We got the full reset, but maybe I'm just running it back, bringing back the same people. But hey, so first off, you get a 2-time MVP drop to me. Then you get Hunzer dropping down from Challenger here in a prospect. I just can't say no. They're giving me too many good options here.
I mean,
can we say rigged?
Hey,
For real.
hey, anyone had a chance. Anyone had a chance before me to select these people, so it's on them.
No, I was curious actually. I didn't realize. First of all, I wasn't actually sure if Hunter was playing. I must have missed his name on this sheet here. But that is one of those really good picks I was talking about, where he's very low MMR, and he was challenger last season. Obviously, we all played together, and he is a very solid player. He's gonna do well in prospect, alongside Sweeney as well. That's already a bit of a scary roster for me.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. And
Never mind, no
hopefully,
credit. I'm sorry.
Oh.
No.
Oh shoot! I tried to take the credit. I tried to take some credit up there, but I guess not meant to be. But yeah, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see how Hunter and Sweeney can run it back. They played a couple of times when we had to have some sub ups at the beginning of the season with Sweeney. So we'll see how it shakes out for sure. I'm excited on that one. And next couple picks are flying through here. We've also got Air Wiggle going to the Vipers, a great name, and then Wolfie, who has been kind of a Nemesis staple, I believe. Is he season one? Is he season one Wolfie? If not,
I
he's
think
super
he
early.
is.
I think he
I
is.
think he is season 1, right?
I believe so. I remember the
OG.
Bishops, maybe the Bishops back in the day.
That sounds right. I know he was on the
At some
Bishops at
point.
some point at least.
At some point. But yeah, another Nemesis legend here. Gonna go off the board, not on the Bandits this time, but he's gonna go to the Gladiators. So Foam might be cooking something up over here.
Yeah, that's a good duo there. Wolfie was a great player with Cream on the Bandits last season. You know, going into that playoff stretch, and now you got CJ Fire and Wolfie on the Gladiators as his first two picks, giving him I think actually plenty of room to pick over whoever he wants here. And there's a lot of good names on that board.
There really are. Let me take a look back at this draft board. See who I recognize on the board. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of them. I probably couldn't even name them all there, but some names I do recognize. I see Sea Wink, Ultimus Rule, True Fatal back on the board. Chops, Peanut, Mr. Marino, MP Running Big, Sky Newbie, Control Delete, Brad McSnack Rap.
Hmm.
That's a legendary name. Love that one. Love that name. But I mean, just not even those people. I mean, there's those people and a lot more that I recognize, and I'm sure there's some sleepers as well. But I mean, that's a big draft board to look at here as we head on to kind of almost close out round number 2 here.
Yeah, and you know, look, you want to talk about having a solid fourth. There's a lot of players on the bottom part of this board that would be a great addition. Potentially could even start depending who they play with. Um, I'm looking at Chunk Light, Time, Grebsy, uh, a whole bunch of those three, Time and Grebsy, especially coming from Novice. They play a lot together, which is how they actually got their new peaks. Is they were playing threes, just grinding it out, and um, those two being in prospect is something you love to see. Seeing your buddies and other players from Novice who you would think or they thought they would be stuck moving up. So seeing improvement there is great. And of course, then you got Sweaty and Seabin, Monk, Tripwire. All of those are actually great players to round out your roster. So I don't know if we'll see them go off the board here in the third round, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone snatch one of those bottom MMR players to round out their roster.
Definitely so. Could be a possibility as we're going to round it out here. I don't know if we mentioned it, but is a Chad going to Hypernova, Perky to the Blackhawks, and then Wyvern's going to select the Chef 98 off the board. Another great pickup. Met the Chef in person before, so congratulations to him getting picked up on that one. Merely before we head over to round number 3, what do you make of this round 2 draft board? How things are looking, how things shaked out in round 2.
This one, I think it was a good round. A lot of the things that I felt like were going to happen, a lot of the people I felt like would get picked would go. Ariso, Hunter, Dukes, all these guys. Wolfie, already seeing some teams that we know are going to have chemistry form. Of course, you already talked about Koval and Ariso there. Turbo making it over there with Air Wiggle. I know they're both eager to prove themselves in prospect here. And there's plenty more players left. No one's out of options by any stretch of the imagination. Only 2 players for each team here so far, but that third one, that's going to be interesting to see who completes some of these rosters. Depending who, I think that'll change the way we view a lot of these teams.
Yeah, definitely. So this is probably the make or break round right here for a lot of these teams. Round number 3, how are things going to shake out? Now everybody, even these GMs that are now on rosters, now all rosters are equal. Everyone has 2 players on their roster. So this round 3 is kind of where you can either find your third, or you can find a sub here to put on your roster and then attack for that third later, or you could try to split up and have a very well-rounded roster. That's always an option as well that many teams go for. So we're gonna have to see, and the lucky winners of that draft lottery, the Wyverns there with Bondo, the GM, they are going to be the first ones here, Mallow, with that choice of what they want to do. 26-46 cap room remaining.
Yeah, that's plenty to work with here. You can easily choose your solid potentially first man, or pretty close to a first man to work with you if you're Bondo. Or you could go ahead and grab your bottom your sub, and then be able to see who you can work in after that, because you're not going to be able to pick for a while. So you gotta really think about who you're going to go for here.
Definitely an important round. This one might be the lengthiest round. I'm sure the GMs are going to think it out. Bondo, he is thinking his third round pick out quite well, and that's the one thing. When you get to this point, the first 2 rounds, it kind of happens in all drafts, but you get the first 2 rounds, it's kind of a lot of known names, a lot of known quantities from tryouts, and then round 3, it's about finding these players, these diamonds in the rough here, to see who you can fill your roster out with. And like we mentioned, this could be, this round could be the round that is going to make or break seasons here. And we'll have to see how these teams are gonna work it out, as the Wyverns going to come back through and they are going to select Tragic Upset with their pick. So I'm gonna put them in a 3-man spot here. Don't know if that quite if that's a top 3 or not. But Tragic upset at 13-32, going to be going off the board. That should give them enough room to sign one more here. So gives them, does it give them? Yeah, it does. It gives them 13-14 remaining. So they're going to have an opportunity here to fill out the bottom of their roster, but they got 2 really high players. Tragic as a third, so Wyvern's gonna make it happen, as Hypernova gonna come through, and they're making their selection here as well. Both these teams ready to go. Smoke is going off the board, another player that's been around Nemesis for quite some time as well.
And I'm hoping Tragic Upset's name is referring to the other team being tragic and not himself, because that's a pretty negative attitude to go into any series with. But at 13-32, yeah, Wyverns there, just leaving just enough MMR to pick someone else up. A little bit top heavy, although I will say they already, with Bondo and the Chef, have 2 fantastic players on there. I'm not as familiar with Tragic, but it looks like this is a known quantity as well, that Wyverns have what they wanted lined up. Getting the first pick in that third round surely will help as well. And Hypernova as well, getting theirs in Smoke. That'll be a solid addition to their roster as well, as they're going to fill that one out. Lucky, Smoke, and Is a Chad. All players have been around for a little bit and looking like a solid squad over there as well.
And so as the Blackhawks are coming through up next here on the board, and they are going to make their selection, and they're going to go ahead and select Chops with their pick. So another person that's been around here for a while going to get selected off the board to the Blackhawks, and then the Gladiators. They are coming right back here with their selection already ready to go. They're going to select Magics with their pick.
Yeah, I think Magix is a newer player. I could be wrong. I think they literally just joined within the last week or something. One of the 50-ish people that came into the league right after the MMR um, boundaries were set. A little suspicious there. JK. But one of the many people that joined afterwards, and which you still love to see because it allows we can make some last minute changes sometimes, which helps the players and the league out. So Magic's being that second person to CJ Fire there on the Gladiators foam. With Wolfie, Wolfie is I think severely undervalued at 1342. So that's a really good squad. I'm curious who they're going to pick up as their third with 1308 remaining. There is some good picks that they can that Foam can use for that. So we'll see what he'll do with that last pick. And as I say that, now LK has his pick for the Vipers.
That one is going to come through. LK going to go ahead and select 10 mil with his pick. Excuse me, new to the league this season, but going to find him off the board there. Going to be heading over to the Vipers to kind of give them their third player there, and that's going to give them 1282 to work with. So they got a little bit of room remaining on their board. So Turbo Fuego, Tamil, and Air Wiggle off the board. Can leave them 1282 on that one. And then Faded is going to come through and select someone that we mentioned as well as someone to watch out for off the board. Sky Newbie is going to be heading off the board as well. They're going to be heading to Faded.
Guy Newbie, there he goes. I mean, we all knew he was going to get drafted. I'm a little bit surprised he fell this far down, to be honest. Feels a little bit disrespectful because we all know Sky Newbie. He's a fantastic player. This definitely will not be the first time Sky Newbie's on Faded, right?
I don't know actually.
Is it the first time? I felt
it
like
could,
that.
It could be actually. It could actually be the
Maybe it's
first
just
time.
because it rolls off the tongue so well. Sky Newbie and Faded, it just sounds right. But I'm expecting him to play a solid role in this team so far. Already looking good out there.
Definitely so. And we'll see how they can do. That new GM Street Soul trying to put in some work there. This is his roster. He is on this one, ready to go. And I love this one here. Oh, look at this team we got going on here.
I feel a theme's going on.
The Rooks are off the board. They're going to select Brad McSnack Wrap to be paired with Speed Demon and Ruben Sandwich. So yeah, Snack Wrap and a sandwich.
There's definitely a theme going on there. Has to be, but no, that I'm pretty sure Brad McSnack Wrap and Ruben have also played together in other leagues as well. So that's actually a really good team right there, and the Rooks are looking really good. Speed Demon is doing a great job, I think, rounding out his first three picks here. Wow, yeah, that's a good pickup, and they still have 1389. So technically, Brad could be a sub, or maybe he's looking to rotate. I don't know, but it's so far that's still a good lineup.
Yeah, definitely so. As I'm hitting the think tank a little bit, as I got to make my next selection. I have an idea. I'm just conferring,
No pressure.
but yeah, no pressure on the board here, as Origin is on the clock officially.
I'm curious who's going to round out this roster. I mean, the two on there already, that's already a good duo by themselves, Sweeney and Hunter. I feel like you could pair up almost anyone with them. I'm trying to think of what they're missing. But it's also a tough choice. There's a lot of good people left, a lot of players that will fit on that roster as well. With 1404 and 1353, Rockerman here has left himself quite a bit of room. I bet he wishes he could get Jaegers, but no can do this time. Jaegers, we all want to see him go home to Origin as well, but we'll have to see what the mind of Rockerman brings out here.
All right, I think
Yeah.
just about.
Oh, he might. But yeah, there's some. I guess it really depends which way Rockerman wants to go here. But I'm looking towards the top half, and I see some people like Mr. Marino that might fit well with that. I just don't know I'm not trying to do any math in my head as far as how much he would have left and such. But Mr. Marino would be one. There's some more up there towards the top. Ultimus is a good one. Uh, Mini Rooster is also a good one. So we'll have to see who he picks. And I think he just made the pick. Who did you pick there, Rockerman?
We're going to go ahead and select Sea-Wink with our pick. Very active in the Discord, and a very, very solid player. Going high up on the MMR on this one. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Sea-Wink. I went a little bit out of our comfort zone a little bit. I didn't select someone that was on my org before. Unfortunately for people that were hoping I would just select my entire org again, but I do know of Sea-Wink. They are a solid player, and I'm very excited. I mean, Hunzer, Sweeney, and Sea-Wink. It sounds like a scary trio in my eyes. So I'm excited to see what they can bring.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
that is truly a good pick there. So, you know, uh, Cozy, what do you think about that pickup and what you've seen so far?
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna mention that. I think I noticed Sea-Wing. He almost gained 100 MMR since last season. I know a lot of people did. Like a lot of people went up and down, but like 100, almost. I think it's like 80 MMR from last season. I know he was on the. I think it was like Knight last season as well. Or no, not Nick Knight. Excuse me. Ember. He was on Ember last season with Sub Zero and Jeff Masters, which was a pretty solid team. Usually all season. So I know Sea-Wing with excuse me with Sweeney and Hunter. Yeah, that's a solid team, 100%.
Hopefully it'll end up working out for us. I'm excited. I'm excited for sure here. So Sea-Wink coming home, and then another great selection. Someone who I was highly contemplating here too with this pick. He goes right after I pick, of course. But MP running big. I love that guy. Great guy here. Gonna be heading over to the Banshees. Good to see him find a nice home over there with the Banshees. He will be on our division, so we're gonna have some rivalry. I know him and Sweeney know each other, so that'll be interesting to see how things shake out in the division. But yeah, good to see him over there. And then next one going to come through already here from our boy Cozy, who's selecting another player for his roster. Cozy going to go ahead and select False Facts. What are you thinking about False Facts here, Cozy?
Yeah, so I know this is his first season. I don't know too much about him, but I got a couple suggestions of him, and I was just looking for somebody, on the higher end of the prospect. And with the suggestions, I think I'm excited to have him on.
Definitely good to see some new faces in the league as always, and it's always good to have those recommendations. He's going to find his way onto a roster there, so gonna be a solid one there. Quick shout out here. Got to shout out our guy Silver J coming back for 15 months. Much appreciated. Much love to Silver J. Always supporting the league, helping us out there. So appreciate the resub. 15 months from Silver J as the Melons gonna come through on the board, and they are gonna go ahead and select Crimson with their pick, as they are gonna be filling a third onto their roster. Merely, what are you making of maybe the Melons so far? And then maybe the last couple picks and how things have shaken out.
Yeah, the Melon's looking strong so far. A couple of high MMR players and Shadow. I mean, I'm not sure whether he intends to play or not, but it really worked out beautifully with him actually being at 1283. He has so much room. Money is not an objection for him on this roster. And Critter, of course, was a fantastic pickup. Crimson, I know much less about. About 1446 therein coming through. If he can just get his salary's worth on that squad, and a third pickup, still 1373 to work with, he's gonna be just fine. The Melons looking strong.
Melons, one of these teams that have multiple championships in the prospect league, so they are definitely a solid squad there, and we'll have to see how they can perform this season. Yeah, Critter, Dr. Shadow, Crimson on the board right now, and this is a good name to see go off the board here. We got Grebsy going over to Velocity with their next pick here. So some teams maybe starting the sub run early. I mean, Grimsey's maybe not necessarily a sub, but 1304 MMR towards a little bit towards the lower side. But he's going to go off the board there to Velocity there, Mello.
Yeah, absolutely. That's still a great pickup. I think if I'm not mistaken, him and Pro, or I might be confused. Actually, no. I think it might have been LeBerry, but Grebsy has been grinding, working hard, getting that prospect run going. He finally got it. Now he's on a team. Now will he be a sub? Will they rotate? We'll find out. But great pickup there, solid, reliable player regardless, and we'll see what that Velocity squad does with 1393 left too. So they got a good amount of players to work with.
Definitely a lot of good players there still on the board to be selected. As next pick going to come off for the Bandits, they're going to go ahead and select Insano 956. So they got two names I recognize, one name I don't quite at the moment. With Ariso, Kovalchuk, and now Insano off the board. So we're gonna have to see what Sandsbar is cooking. He's always cooking something. I know really this guy's always running tryouts trying to make some sort of shenanigans happen. So he's got a plan. I don't know if it'll work or not, but he's cooking.
He's kind of like the puppet master. I mean, Sans, you never know. He kind of joined the league and brought his whole organization over, which we love to see. But now I feel like he might still be kind of the shadow council here. And with the picks he's getting too, it just further validates my theory. Getting Kovalchuk and now Insano at 1337 elite. Now I don't know that much about Insano, but with that name and the combination of where his MMR stands, you're destined for great things at that rate. And the team, another duo that was already looking fantastic by themselves, even with Insano, just if he is able to fit in with the chemistry of Koval and Ariso, then that team is going to do great things as well.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to see. I'm excited to see how they're gonna shake out down there. And we'll see how it goes. As next pick coming in for Flurry here, gonna find Cream's teammate, which is Solar, who I was seeing some hype around Solar here, that they haven't gotten selected yet. So falling all the way down to the third round could be a steal. Down there for Flurry, as that is gonna put them with Cream, Crates, and Solar with their next selection. Solar at 1305 off the board there. Gonna be heading over there. So yeah, we're kind of starting to see the strategy of the draft here, Cozy, with this third round. Some people are going all the way to the bottom trying to pick up their sub, at the lowest MMR they can find right away.
Oh yeah, a lot of diamonds in the rough, like you mentioned earlier down there. So yeah, exciting to see where people go in the fourth round. A lot of people to still pick from. I see a lot of good names on this list still, and it'll be interesting fourth round here.
Wills, we're almost rounding it out here. Next pick gonna come through as Draco is gonna go off the board to the Minotaurs here, and that's gonna put Ember up for the last pick of this round, and they are already ready, and they are gonna select Peanut, who we have seen before. Was on Origin, I think at one point. There was some trades with the Blackhawks. That's how we got Sweeney a while back. But Peanut, also one of these players that's been around Nemesis for a long time. So that's going to round out round number 3. We're heading to the fourth in just a minute here. Mel, I'm going to throw it to you real quick. What do you make of round 3? How rosters are looking right now? What are you seeing?
Well, I'm seeing, we talk about how the strategy of grabbing your fourth or, potentially your fourth, at the end of the third round, you're looking at having a pick within, next 3 or 4 picks. So you can kind of afford going for your reliable fourth or your rotating fourth. So looking at these picks here and looking at how much MMR some of these teams have left, you got the Vipers who are squeezing it by with the 1282. So really they only have one player that they can select on the board, and that is Sweaty. And so will we see Sweaty go off the board before the Vipers pick them up? We'll see, but they did fit the MMR in there. They're up by above the 1280, so they got two to work with. So they are within the rules. And then of course you got others who went ahead and picked their fourth early, who have plenty of room to work with. And I'm looking at all of this right now, and Flurry, Dan, the Dan plan, as always, he's got 1432, so he can just about pick anyone on the map here. And looking at the teams, MP running big, he's a goat, and he's old just like me. Great pick up there. Glad to be a part of that org with Sep and T1. That's a really good team. Origin's a really good team, and to be honest, all of these teams are looking really good so far. A lot of unknowns, but we'll see what happens here as Smooth makes his next selection.
Yes, we're going to head into round number 4, the final round. Forrest Bump is going to go off the board, trying to find this man. Might need some assistance. Oh, there you go. I found his name now. FFE in front of it.
That's my new favorite name of the draft, by the way.
Forrest Bump.
I love that.
It's a good name there, Merrily. And he's going to go to Ember to round out their roster.
Oh, okay. Brindy, Help, Peanuts, and Forrest Bump. Okay, that's gonna be a good roster. That's gonna be a banger. I mean, not only because his name is amazing, but that's also just a really solid team to round out. Ember with the first full team of the draft.
Ember gonna round it out there. Bala, what do you make of that Ember team now that they've kind of rounded things out here?
Oh man, with at that team, I think they could easily rotate anyone in at any time and do really well. That's actually a pretty solid team, and having 4 players that are all reliable here, for the most part. I don't recall Forrest Bump, but yeah, love the name. So Forrest Bump might be first season here, but having a 12 MMR cap, they Smooth here did a great job with it, and I can't wait to see what they do. It's going to be fire.
Yeah, definitely
Let's see
so.
what you did there.
It's gonna be fire. It's gonna be fire for sure, and we'll have to see how it shakes out for Mr. Smooth and company. But he's always working well with his players and with his org. So always a great org to go to over there. So congratulations to Mr. Forrest Bump as he's off the board, and Minotaur is going to come through, and they are going to select Tripwire with their pick, and Flurry is going to come through, and they are going to select. This is a name of all time, Omni Murders.
Whoa.
They're going to go off the board. A little aggressive there, I'd say. But he's going to go off the board there to Flurry with their selection to round out things over there. Cozy now Flurry and Minotaurs are rounded out.
Oh heck yeah! Speaking of fire, you just mentioned Tripwire with the pickup. They were on the Ignite last. I mentioned Alpaca was on the Ignite last season as well, so it's good to see them teamed up again. It'd be very exciting to see them on the Minotaurs now, though. As a very good duo back then on Novice. Omni Murders is a very familiar name. I'm not from another league though. I don't think I got to play with them much, but great name.
Definitely a spicy name there going off the board. Going to round out that roster. So it looks like everyone in that division there, that Atlantic division, besides the Melons, are sorted out there. So they've got things working, and it's going to put the Bandits on the clock here. Sandsbar going to look to round out his roster. Got 1422 remaining, so maybe looking for possibly a top starter, maybe a sub. We'll see how he shakes it out here. But once again, before we kind of round out this roster, obviously we're down to the final round, so I always like to let people know here, even if you don't get drafted, make sure to stay active in the Discord, because there will be a lot of roster moves, especially with 16 brand new teams. There's gonna be a lot of roster moves, so even if you don't get drafted, stay active in the Discord. That's gonna give you your best chance to get seen, best chance to get picked up onto a team if some things go wrong with some of these rosters, which they will. It's inevitable. That's the tough thing about competitive leagues. Things will go wrong here. So even if you don't get selected, make sure to stay active, and you'll definitely have your shots for sure.
Or have a funny name. Have a
Or
funny
have a
name.
funny
Is a
name.
very good. Yeah.
That's true. We do see some funny names get picked up. That is
But
true. Just
speaking of this Bandits team, though, that I just looking at the team and having that much cap room is kind of crazy. Like this team already looks nuts to me, and then having that much cap room as well, I'm very excited to see what they do with that last pick.
yeah, definitely. So we're gonna have to see. Yeah, 1422. Get anyone from True Fatal on down. I still see a
Mhm.
lot of good names like Mr. Marino's up there. Control Delete is still on the board. That's a name I expect to see going off the board. We got Quackbot, champion in the prospect league from last season, is sitting on the board.
Yes, sir.
By the way, guys, ding, 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 ding. He's still sitting there. So that's a big red light in my eyes right there. But a lot of other good names: Seaben, I see Sub Zero, It's Time, Chunk Light. Some people I recognize, and obviously there's some other new people I don't necessarily recognize. Like Bank Shark, Parker, Amethyst Nuke. I think Plugin I recognize as well. Ultimus is still up there. Mini Ruster, Stumpy. I mean, there's a lot of good names out there. A lot of good players. Even some that I didn't mention. Huge Tom down there. It's an interesting name.
Esoteric
Yeah, Esoteric. Yeah, they
or
are on the
Esoteric.
board.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very mechanical beast right there.
he was in the league last season as well. So
Mhm.
we're gonna have to see what they're gonna do. As I think we're about to run out of time on Sandsbar here. Not sure where he is, but I think the timer is just about to expire on him. So he might be getting moved to the end of the round, but maybe that's a Sandsbar strategy. You know, he does like to stack his fourth round picks like we saw a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, he's a
I mean-
very he has it's like an unusual version of the Dan plan.
It's true.
Altered version.
It is a little bit altered. Looks like Sandsbar TikTok here on him. We'll give him a couple more seconds, but the timer is just about to expire on his hopes and dreams. So we're gonna have to move him to the end of the round. So Sandsbar to the end of the round here, and I guess he's picking the 64 on this one. But well, we'll skip that one for now. Come back to the Bandits, see if he can figure something out later. As Velocity is gonna now be put on the clock here.
Yeah, did not waste any time either. As the Velocity team is now selecting Quackbot to round out this to round out this team of Maki, Krotera, and Grebsy, with Quackbot as the fourth on the team, but 1326 being the third highest MMR. So good pickup. If I recall correctly, I think Quackbot and Grebsy actually played together on the Welts a couple of seasons ago. So they there's some chemistry there too. But that's a pretty good looking roster there.
Definitely. So you're exactly right. They did team up a couple seasons ago. So back at it again there. The prospect champion coming back. Crazy to see him drop to the fourth round, but hey, that is a huge snipe right there for Velocity. And then Parker is going to be heading to the Melons. They're going to fill out their roster now, and that's going to be it's going to be a solid roster there for the Melons as well to fill things out. 1356 from Parker. Going to be heading over there. So a couple more rosters rounded out. So it's gonna be Parker, Crimson, Critter, and Dr. Shadow on the Melons. Always a roster, always a team to watch out for over there to see what they can do. So we'll have to see how that shakes out here as the Warhawks coming through and Cozy selecting Matchless here off the board.
Yes, sir. He took a break last season, but I was teammates with him on I believe it was War Room. I can't remember the team. I'm sucking. I remember the team name, but Ninjas. But that's what we're. He was on that team for a little bit with Milo too. I don't know if you were on it whenever Matchless came, but very good guy. I'm glad to see him back for this season and excited to play with him again.
Yeah, he did. He definitely improved over that time since leaving. I know he was doing a lot of six mans in the server. I don't think I actually got a chance to play with Matchless, but definitely a good way to round out that Warhawks team. And with 8 MMR cap room, I love to see when teams use as much cap room as possible to try and get the best. Either you're rounding it out or you're going top heavy. So there's two different strategies with that, and in this case, it looks like Cozy Boy kind of went mostly well rounded because there is no one below 1330 on that squad.
Yeah, it looks like it's that well-rounded strategy, and we got a little bit of a possible snipe off the board here,
Holy.
as Sweaty is going to be heading to the Banshees. 1282 is the lowest MMR available, and that's going to be bad news for anyone over at the Vipers. Shout out quickly to LK, the GM, coming back for 8 months, but unfortunately that is bad news for him because they do not have enough to pick up anyone else now. So they're going to be looking for some free agents at a low MR to come through. So unfortunate for them, but shout out to him for coming back for 8 months, and shout out to Quackbot resubbing for 12 months. Happy birthday to Quackbot. Happy selection as well, heading to Velocity there. So congratulations on that one, as it's going to put Origin on the board, and I think I know about almost exactly what I am gonna cook here. This one.
Okay.
I feel like I can predict it. I feel like I know what's coming.
Who's coming? Let us know. Just call it out. Well, actually, I just posted it, so it's too late.
It better be huge, Tom.
Yep, that guy right there. See you, man. Woo.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and select Seaben 44-2 with my selection. Love Seaben. Been around Nemesis for a long time. He fits perfectly into the roster, even with that low MMR. I think he's a little bit undervalued for his MMR too. So I like to see him still around there, and I'm happy to bring him on the Origin squad. Hopefully him and the Origin boys can do some good things this season. So I'm excited.
He's still like the richest person in Nemesis with the
He-
bot. He be botting all the time.
Oh,
he does be picking up those what do you call them? I don't even know what the specific term is. Coins? Is it coins?
Oh, the coins. Yeah, the coins.
The Nemesis coins. He's picking up some coins in the commands channel. So if there's someone, it almost doesn't get more active than that in the Discord. I think he had over 1,000-day streak where he was typing the commands channel every day to get his daily reward. So
yeah, at least close to 900 the last time I looked at it. So yeah, pretty crazy. He was on the Fated squad last season. That's definitely a good pickup to round out the Origin squad here. Was Fated the runner-up? I can't remember, or were they they were the runners-up last season, right? Or no?
I think they're the winners. I think Wyverns were the runner-up.
Yeah, Wyverns were the winner because Quackbot was the champion.
Opposite round.
Faded was the runner-up. You're correct. 4-2 in favor of the Wyverns last season.
Yeah. So being a finalist, being in that final grand finals, that's going to be proven helpful going into this season. Taking that Origin squad, whether he starts or rotates in or whatever, that's going to be a good pickup there for Origin. So that way, if there's any nerves, so whatever happens, something happens with, one of the other players to where they can't make it, Seaben will be able to be there. He's been there. He knows what to do. So, will they make it there? We'll see. I think it's very possible they can get to the playoffs, but we'll see what happens here. And as I'm yapping over here, the Rooks do make their selection.
Rook's going to make their selection with Control Alt Elite. I love to see Control Alt Elite go off the board there with the Rooks. There wasn't quite another sandwich name, unfortunately for them, but Control Alt Elite will have to do. He's a great player, great person there. Going to be selected over to the Rooks. That's going to round out their roster. And then Faded, they're going to go ahead and select Sub-Zero with their pick. And then the Gladiators, they are also coming through and selecting Chunk Light with their pick. Another great Nemesis legend here. Chunk Light going to go off the board. So these players, these teams are firing to try to round out this round as we're down to the last three picks here merely with these three going off the board.
Yeah, and some really good picks coming out at the end here. I honestly can't believe that Control Elite or Chunk Light fell this far either. Control, he's been a staple of Prospect for about as long as I can remember. he's been putting in work, and Chunklight as well. Sub-Zero, I saw some people talking about in chat. I can't believe that Dan did not pick Sub-Zero. That's just the greatest throw of all time. But hopefully he is happy ended up over there on Faded. He does have a good team surrounding him as well already with Circo, Street Soul, and Sky Newbie. I gotta say, I like what this new GM. I like what Street Soul is doing over there. Looking good with that one so far. But yeah, these teams we're almost down to the final stretch, and some really strong contenders already popping up here.
Definitely so. As yeah, we mentioned a couple more picks coming off the board. You saw Chunk Light to the Gladiators. JD is going to go to the Blackhawks. Not the JD we all know from previous times. No longer with us. Rest in peace. He's not dead. He's just banned. But this JD is going to go to the Blackhawks there. Going to put Hypernova onto the clock here as we're going to round things out. We got 3 more picks to be made. Hypernova, Wyverns, and then the Bandits going to round things out. So we'll have to see here. As I love this one coming off the board. Hypernova, they are going to go ahead and select Huge Tom off the board with their pick. Great,
Let's go.
great name right there to go off the board. Huge Tom.
Yeah, that's a good pickup. Another one of those late surges invited by Flame Intruder and Flame really talking up Huge Tom in the chat here. So hopefully lives up to Flame's hype here as a solid 4th or whatever playing in for Hypernova if he does start or rotates in. Definitely not familiar with the player, but welcome Huge Tom and being that fourth member of the Hypernova team.
Definitely an interesting pickup. We'll see how it shakes out. Don't know much about him, but that's always the fun, I think, about these new seasons, especially a full reset here. Who knows, what's going to happen with these teams? Who knows what these players, these names that we don't recognize, these newbies, these rookies, what are they going to do? That is going to be the spicy thing for this upcoming season, as the Wyverns going to go through and they are going to select Aussie off the board here, heading to round out their roster, which is going to put Zanzibar and company back onto the clock to make the final selection. But Aussie going to round out the defending champions there. Bondo, the Chef, Tragic Upset, and Aussie rounded things out over there, Cozy Boy.
Oh yeah. Bondo. I've known that's a fun fact. Bondo I've known since I pretty much played Rocket League back in 2017. I've known that guy forever. Very good guy. I don't know too much about the Chef, but I know Tragic and Aussie. This looks like a really well-rounded team right there.
Definitely so here. Really, we're heading back to Zanzibar territory here. But I guess as we're kind of rounding things out, the final pick to be made here, pick number 52. Like I moved to the end of the draft. What are you making of these? What are you making of these rosters so far? Who's looking the scariest? And what are some things you're looking at here on these boards?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely already quite a few teams that'll catch my eye. Already, the pick we're on right now, the Sands plan, all coming together. Part of me feels like he just let the timer expire as a mental challenge, just telling everyone, I've already got my team. I don't need anyone else. With Koval, Ariso, and Insano, earlier he said in chat, "You are going to know my name." So that tells me he's here. He's here, and he's gonna go all out. So I'm expecting good things from that team. The Bandits, I think they're gonna do well. I am also I'm looking at Origin. Okay, I'll say it. Origin looks like they're going to be a terror in prospect this season, with Sweeney and Hunter and Seawink as well. C-Ben even on there too, bringing up that last MMR spot. Origin, I would have a hard time imagining they don't do well. Of course, any team with Jaegers always finds a way to bulldoze through prospect in one way or another. So I have a feeling the Blackhawks are going to be in a very good spot as well, and many more that I don't want to take up all the time mentioning right now. It's going to be a very competitive league, I think.
Definitely so. As Zanzibar, he does make his last pick there, pick number 52. He's going to go ahead and select B9669, also known as EasyBP3 from previous seasons. So it's been around. Another good final selection to round out pick number 52 there for the Bandits. And that is going to round out our rosters here. Again, like I mentioned, if you didn't get selected, just make sure you guys stay active in the Discord. That's the best way to get onto a roster. These rosters always change at the beginning of the season, even the middle of the season, even sometimes towards the end of the season, there's some changes. So make sure you guys stay active in the Discord. That'll give you your best chance to get picked up on a roster and, get your chance to be playing this upcoming season. We've got a lot of great players, and this prospect league is looking stacked. But we'll go through one more time. I know really talk about who he's looking at here. I'm going to throw it to you, Cozy Boy. Looking at these rosters, who are you looking at? Who is scary in the Prospect League? I know you're a part of the Prospect League, but what are you looking at here?
Well, I can't help but notice my eyes, of course, go to my division there down on the mountain. Looking at freaking Bandits, Vipers, and Rooks. All three of those teams, honestly, I love my team, but those teams are going to give us a battle all season for sure. Really liking Bandits and Vipers and Rooks. Outside of my division, though, I'd say really liking the Minotaurs team with Tripwire and Alpaca back together. And I know Blitz is very solid. Not too much to know about Draco, but I'm sure he looks like to be the carry of the team maybe. And then Blackhawks as well. Of course, Jaegers. You got Jaegers, Dead Boy Chops, and JD. This new JD. But both those teams also look scary as well as my division. No.
Definitely so. Mallow, who are you looking at here? Who's catching your eye in the Prospect League as maybe the team to beat or some teams to watch out for?
Flurry Minotaurs, definitely two of them. Minotaurs look really good. The entire Central Division, honestly, looks really good. Especially Origin and Blackhawks, and also Banshees, another good one. Hypernova, I'm not really familiar with the majority of their roster, so I can't speak with them, but I know Chad's on there, and Chad being a part of that team, with especially, and then the Flame Intruder, huge time hype. Who knows? Maybe that's a sleeper team we're not aware of. And then we look at the other side. Gladiators and Wyverns are screaming to me, and then like Cozy Boy said, that entire Mountain Division is gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough season for Prospect, but there's obviously gonna be a few that might stick out a little bit. I just don't know who that is yet, because chemistry, that's a big part of things, and we'll see moves. And just like you said, Rocker Man, if you didn't get picked up here, or if you join later on, don't get discouraged. If you are signing up, do sign up, because you will potentially and likely will get picked up. So please do fill out the form if you haven't. And for the ones that are draftees going to free agents, your time will come. So keep an eye out. Make sure your notifications are on for Discord. You will get picked up. Yeah, Rockerman, competitive Prospect League this season.
Yeah, definitely. It is looking spicy, and I'll shout out a couple teams that we didn't get too much of a mention. I'm curious to see how Cream and company are going to do over there. I heard some hype about Solar. I'm not sure if they are going to start or not, but Cream was a force to be reckoned with in the Prospect League last season. So I'm curious to see how Flurry is going to shake out. Velocity is also a spicy, I think, underdog-ish sort of team. They got 4 great players there: Maki, Crotera, Quackbot, and Grebsy, that haven't really been mentioned, and I think they could possibly surprise some people to make a run in the play-ins, maybe the playoffs even, over there. And then I'm very curious to see how Fade is going to work out. There's some names we recognize. You got Street Soul, Sky Newbie, Sub-Zero, who I all recognize. I don't know about Zerko. That could be a surprise, underdog run. If Zerko is really solid, that team could also be very scary. But really, a lot of great teams. It's always good to be back with the full reset. So we got 2 drafts under our belts here, folks. I appreciate everyone tuning in for tonight. That's just about going to wrap it up for our stream. But make sure if you guys haven't followed already, we got 3 more drafts tomorrow. We got 3 of them. We're heading Challenger, Rival, and Titan. And I know merely I don't know if we were talking about it. Maybe I was talking with Jaegers about it. But my spicy lead to watch out for will be the last draft that we're going to do tomorrow night. That Titan League draft. I mean, there's looking like some spiciness to be had over there in the Titan League.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one. No one on a team yet. Everyone and everything up for grabs in the most competitive season, and a very tight range, I'll say, for Titan this season, bringing it up from when it was mostly 1700 before to a very competitive, almost 1800 and up. Titan is going to be extremely fun just all the way throughout, from the draft to the grand finals.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited with that one. But rival and challenger, 16 full teams to be reset there in those leagues. That is also going to be just absolute cinema. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night. First draft is a challenger draft starting at 7 Eastern. Even if you're not drafted, come on by, drop a follow. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that one. Build up the hype for this full reset. There's going to be a lot of people drafted tomorrow night. A lot of hype to be had. We're looking for a great season 11. Again, once again, appreciate everyone. Appreciate all the resources. Appreciate all the follows. Appreciate all the viewers hanging out with us tonight. But that is going to wrap it up for us here. So thank you guys for watching, and we will talk to you guys later.